Jack Ebling here with Dan Kilbridge, full court press for 24/7 Sports before the Big Ten basketball opener. Dan, Michigan State hosting Minnesota. Not the first time Michigan State's played in December, but probably as important a December game as Michigan State's ever had.
Yeah, they really want to get off to a good start here with the way the non-conference season went. Had some good games, had some not so good games, but I think, now that that's in the past, we get almost an entirely new season here to start something, and they want to start it off the right way.
Tom Izzo's talked about the importance of practice over the holiday break many years, but this time there's a conditioning factor built into the skill component. Michigan State has some work to do.
Yeah, and they haven't had as much practice time as they'd liked in the months leading up. Everyone knows that. Izzo's been very clear about that. And he liked what he saw out of his team in the 4 or 5 practices they've had since the winter break. And he told them, go home. But it wasn't like they needed to go home and do any soul searching and really think about what they wanted and their goals. He just told them to go home and come back ready to work hard. And that's what they did with the conditioning, like you mentioned. Injuries are another thing I think that have really hurt the conditioning of this team. When you get banged up, tweak an ankle here, miss practice for a few days, you're still playing. You're not getting better. You're staying the same when you can't get that extra running in practice. So I think that conditioning will help them once they get this Big Ten season started.
We have seen before, whatever Tom Izzo emphasizes, his team tends to achieve, and they've worked very hard on free throw shooting.
And they need to. They haven't done it very well throughout the year, and it's one of those things Izzo always says, oh, it'll get better, shooters are going to shoot, Summers will make his free throws, and as we saw, it didn't really get better. They still struggle from the free throw line. Draymond Green is a guy who, was great last year from the line and not so good this year, so I think that's something that maybe they really need to put a premium on in practice, even more so than usual, because Izzo always focuses on that a lot, but, that's something that I think can really help them if they get some free throws going. Maybe that's, 7, 8 extra points a game.
Derek Nix told me that at one point he made 23 straight free throws. Now, if he had that on a YouTube video, that'd be worth something. You could really sell that in Columbus.
Yeah, Nix, he's an interesting guy, but yeah, from the free throw line, everyone knows how hard he's struggled, but he tries hard too, and Izzo said he made 4 in a row at practice today, and he thought the roof might come crumbling down, so you never know with Nix, but I'm glad to see that he's kind of getting back in stride there as far as from the line goes.
Rebounding, which had been a Michigan State staple, not there for most of the preseason. It was against Texas, the most athletic team Michigan State would face. But what about protecting the basketball and these turnovers? They're going to be exposed against Al Nolan, who might be the best thief in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they're killers, and it's not like a lot of them have been forced turnovers. Many of them are just trying to make a pass that isn't quite there, maybe not taking as much care of the ball as you should, not being aware of your surroundings. And those are just things that, should come naturally to guys at this level, but maybe not so much for Michigan State this year. I know Corey Lucius has really struggled. He's got a little Brett Favre in him sometimes, tries to squeeze those tight windows when he shouldn't. But Izzo is worried about it, just like he was last year. There was a time where the turnovers were troublesome. I think they are correctable if you just keep that in your mind and put a premium on it and really kind of focus on that going into each game that, hey, we need to protect the basketball.
In the Texas game, Michigan State had so many turnovers, 10 in the second half, and 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 2 seconds, 4 seconds. You had dunks, layups. That's 8 points in a total of 14 seconds for Texas. If Michigan State plays that way against Minnesota, it's going to be a very tough start to the Big Ten season. But looking at this Big Ten race, Dan, Michigan State picked to be number 2 in the nation at the start of the season. I think most people now think at best they're number 2 in the Big Ten behind Ohio State.
Yeah, you look at Ohio State with what they've done with Sullinger, all the guys they have coming back. They lose Evan Turner, so maybe some people thought that would hurt them more than it has. They've really been able to rebound well. You saw the early win against Florida. They've got some impressive victories, and they just look like a very good team right now. I think Michigan State's really going to have trouble with them. They only go to Columbus. Ohio State doesn't come here, so they'll get one shot at them on the road, and it's going to be a dandy.
Michigan State's going to have to play very well against Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, and yes, Minnesota here at Breslin Center if it plans to be a top 3 team in the Big Ten. And there's a lot of concern what could happen if they get off to a rough start. But Michigan State can control its own destiny here to some degree with the big win here on New Year's Eve. Prediction for the game, first game of the Big Ten season, Dan?
I think Michigan State's, feeling good. They're rested up. They're healthier than they've been, and I think that's going to help them quite a bit. I'm going to say Michigan State wins this one 78-68.
Okay, I'm going to take Michigan State by a basket, 68-66, and then it's on to Northwestern. Jack Ebling and Dan Kilbridge, Full Court Press for 24/7 Sports.